Hi, Mom. Yeah, no, can you pick up Chris after school? Yeah, I'm at the doctor's.
Mrs. Harris?
Describe your symptoms.
Hang on. Stress, headaches, nausea. Yeah, well, I work on Saturdays.
And how long has this been?
Equanimity. Balance your lifestyle.
Hello, Valder.
Well, hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here in Dallas, Texas.
Thanks for having us on.
Well, great. I would love to let my audience know that I am speaking to the wonderful, the successful NASCAR racing driver, Ryan Reed, and he brought a friend, Dr. Stephen Edelman. How you guys doing?
Very good.
Doing great. It's a little early here on the West Coast, but
Thank you.
we're getting through.
Ryan, I want to start with you because I'm going to think you're the one that can tell us about having diabetes, and Dr. Edelman will tell us the medical part about it.
Yeah, we're both pretty knowledgeable. We both have been living with the disease for a little while now. I was diagnosed when I was 17 in 2011. He was, I don't know how old, but in 1970. So 15. So around the same age, and it has been quite the process adjusting to this lifestyle and learning more about diabetes and how to live with it.
We're blood brothers, actually.
Yeah.
I call them brothers from another family. That's what I usually call them. Dr. Edelman, let me ask you, can you just give me a brief analysis of what diabetes is? Because we don't really know. We know the words.
Yeah, first of all, diabetes is a condition when the sugar in the blood gets too high. For people with type 1, like Ryan and myself, our pancreas that secretes insulin was destroyed by antibodies when we were younger. Our pancreas do not secrete any insulin. We have to take it either by shots or an insulin pump. Now, most of the folks in the world have type 2, used to be called adult onset, and that's a completely different cause. You get it when you're older, it runs in the genes, and the issue is we're all blood brothers in a way because both conditions, no matter what the cause, leads to high blood sugars. And the goal for every diabetic is to try to get the blood sugars in as close to normal as possible. We're on insulin. We check our blood sugars a lot. We have a monitor called a continuous glucose monitor that lets us know our blood sugars all the time. And if you have type 2, you might be on pills. You may or may not be on insulin. So it's a different condition. And I think it's really important to say that to your viewers.
I just want to be clear, type 1, you're usually born with it. Type 2, you usually acquire it, correct?
Well, you acquire both. Type 2 is more hereditary, and we acquired it. And for some reason, when we were teenagers, our body produced what we call autoantibodies that attacked our own insulin-producing cells. We don't know what causes type 1 diabetes, but it's not the most common type of diabetes. It only accounts for about 7 or 8% of all the diabetics in the world. Most folks have type 2. But the bottom line is everyone with diabetes should be, watching their lifestyle, what they eat, how much they eat, what times they eat, exercising, and other factors as well. But type 1s are always on insulin. And that's the amazing thing about Ryan, that he's able to be a professional race car driver and have type 1 diabetes, be on insulin, which can cause your blood sugars to get too high or too low, especially too low when you're driving. Years ago, he wouldn't be able to do that without all the technology available today.
Ryan, I want to ask you, and he said some important factors. You have to keep your body at a certain level, but everybody does. If I don't eat, I get weak. Simple as that. There's nothing wrong with me, but if I don't eat, I get weak. So that means we have to keep our body at a certain level. But you have a condition, and you do a very hazardous sport. How have you maintained that all these years?
Yeah, honestly, it's we all have to wake up and do certain things, and part of my everyday is managing my diabetes. And it's there is a few things that I do that are unique to the day that I'm getting into a race car and what I do when I'm in the race car. But it's managing my diabetes every day, and I working with my doctor and learning more about diabetes. One of the biggest tools, he mentioned it. It's called a continuous glucose monitor. It's made by Dexcom, and it mounts on the dash of my race car, and it literally monitors my blood sugar real time wirelessly. There's a sensor in my stomach, and the monitor reads off my blood sugar all the time. So I can watch my water temperature, my oil pressure, along with my blood sugar during the race, and that's huge to know what my blood sugar is throughout the entire race. If my blood sugar is a little bit too high, there's a guy trained on my pit crew. During a pit stop, I can actually get an insulin injection, and also I have a drink inside my race car that's high in glucose to spike my blood sugar if my blood sugar is a little bit too low.
Ryan, you're probably a hero to many people by sharing this. Dr. Edelman, I got to wrap up. Where would you like my audience to go so that they could find more information about the meter and the drug itself?
Yeah, well, I think the meter itself is Dexcom.com, Dexcom. But for general diabetes information, including information on the Dexcom, you can go to the not-for-profit website, Taking Control of Your Diabetes, tcoyd.org.
All right, Dr. Stephen Edelman and race car sensation Ryan Reed, I want to thank you for being my guest on the Valder Beebe Show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.